I got a great question recently from Neil from Bremerton, Washington. He says, Bill, how do you know when it's time to sell the car you've been driving and move on to something else? When does it make sense to do that? It's a tough question, Neil, and it's kind of complicated, but that's never stopped me from wading into a question. So we'll get to it right after this. Welcome to another edition of Bill's Guide, buying and selling used cars, where there's no script, just straight talk about buying and selling used cars. So the question from Neil, how do you know when it's time to move on from the thing you've been driving and buy something else? Well, I think the first answer, or the first thing I would tell you to consider is this. Why do you want to sell your car? What is it about your current vehicle that's not working for you? Because a question even preceding that is, what do you need a vehicle to do? Do you need it for work? Maybe you need a pickup truck because you drive around and you cut lawns, or you clean swimming pools, or you make deliveries. What do you need the vehicle to be able to do? And is your current vehicle meeting that need? Number one. Number two, um, uh, what's the reason you want to sell it? A lot of people would say, well, I'm tired of it dumping money into it. Last month I had to spend $1,200 on a full brake job. $1,200 on brakes. I can't afford to keep doing that. And 2 months before that, I had to have the transmission flushed and a new filter, and that cost me $150. And before that, and they make kind of a long list of the maintenance that they've done. Okay, that's worth talking about. And I'll get back to that in a second. Or is it just because you want to sell your vehicle because you're just ready for something else? You've had it for a while and I don't know, you just kind of want something else. Well, my question to you is that a good reason? I know you want it, but is that a good reason in and of itself? Let me tell you a story. When I was about 20 years old, I was really into cars, kind of always been into cars. And I had this El Camino, and it had a 283 small block Chevy in it. And I wanted to rebuild the engine. And as a matter of fact, it leaked oil and it smoked. And so I was always putting oil in it. As a matter of fact, I had a case of oil sitting on the floorboard of the passenger side. So I said to my dad, hey, Dad, I'm going to rebuild the engine on my El Camino. And he said, why are you going to do that? So I tell him what I just told you. And he says, how much oil does it burn? And I said, about a quart a week. He said, oh. And he said, how much is a quart of oil? And at that time, about $1 a quart. I know, different times. And he said, how much is it going to cost you to rebuild the engine? I said, well, if I do the work myself, except for some of the machine shop stuff, all of the parts and is going to be somewhere around $500. He said, 500 bucks. He said, how many quarts of oil can you buy for $500? I want you to think about that for a second. So I did the math. It was 9.5 years. What was my dad saying? He was saying, is it really worth doing this? And the answer is, well, no, not in dollars and cents, but guess what? I just really wanted to rebuild the engine. So you know what I did? I rebuilt the engine and spent $500. Now, I didn't have it for 9.5 years because I got it totaled, but that's a different story. But you see, the point is that sometimes we want to do something that does not make economical sense because we kind of want to do it down in here, not because it makes sense up here. So just know the reason that you're wanting a new car. The next question is, can the car that you currently have meet your needs? You need to tow something. You need it to be good in snow or ice. You need it to be able to fit 3 kids or a dog into the back of the car. What is it you need to be able to do? Can your current car meet your needs? And you say, well, yes, it can meet my needs, except for the fact that it keeps breaking down, or the seat's uncomfortable, or the AC doesn't work. Okay, what if you were to fix those things? What if you were to take your car to get the AC fixed because you live in Phoenix and it's hot there? What if you did that? Well, it might cost me $1,500. How much is the car payment? Did you know that the average new car right now in 2025 is about $48,000? Did you know that? Did you know that the average used car in 2025, a car about up to 3 years old, is around $28,000? Did you know that interest rates are crazy high right now? They have come down a bit in the last 12 months, but they're still high, particularly on a used car loan, even from a credit union. So unless you're buying the car cash, just know that you've got to do some calculations on your little amortization chart in your amortization app on your phone and figure out how much you're going to be spending in interest on this car that you're thinking about buying. So the question is, can you meet your needs of a safe, reliable, economical car and keep the one you have? I have an answer for you. You may not like it, but here's the answer. Take your car to a trusted, certified mechanic and have your mechanic inspect your car and make a list of all the work that should be done and have him prioritize it according to critical first, important, nice to if I can, and someday. And then make a budget and a calendar to start chipping away at those projects, starting with the critical. A lot of people don't want to do this. What they want to do is drive it until it breaks, have it towed in, and then complain because it costs a lot of money to do all that. It's a lot less expensive to do the maintenance up front rather than the repairs at the backside. It's possible that once you do this and you start to chip away at those projects, that maybe within a year or so, your car is in pretty decent shape. And guess what? You don't have a payment. You have a car that is safe, reliable, economical, meets your needs, and it's paid for. Paid for. How does that sound? Does that sound pretty good? Sounds good to me. Now, it's possible that none of this I said works for you because you need a truck and you have a car. All right, you have a Honda Civic and what you need is a used Ford Ranger. Okay, that makes sense if that's what you need. Or maybe you're into a car right now that you're paying $750 a month in payment, plus you're paying high insurance and high expensive license and tags every year. And you just got to get out of that payment. Fine, that makes sense to me. Do that. I once bought a Mercedes SL 500. I loved that car, except it had some problems. And so I kept taking it in to a Mercedes tech because I couldn't do the work at home because proprietary stuff. Every time I blinked my eye, it was $2,000. I decided I could afford to buy it. I couldn't afford to own it. Maybe you bought something, but you can't afford to own it. Maybe it's time to say, cut your losses, move forward, and take that $700-800 a month you're paying and get yourself into something more like $350 or $400 a month that you can afford. Okay? I would say that if at all possible, keep your car you're driving. It's been said, and I agree with this, in most cases, the cheapest car you ever own is the one you're driving. I didn't make that up, but that's a good one. Think about that. Also think about Bill's Guide, Buying and Selling Used Cars. It makes a great present, even if it's not for you. It's for somebody in your life. It's on sale right now for $17.99. Think about it. It's a good book. As a matter of fact, it's really a great book. With that, I'm Bill Rosen, Bill's Guide, Buying and Selling Used Cars. Join me next time. Tell your friends. Oh, like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. I need you to do that. All right. Have a good day.